Camera's recording, lights are on, I've got my red egg right here, so let's get started. Alright, you go here, don't break. Welcome back to a new Hints and Theories video, this time about episode number 3 of the 11th season of The Mall. My name is Julia and I guide you through the Mall universe, and in this video I talk about hints and theories that will hopefully help you figure out who the Mall is. If you do not want to miss any further videos, then please make sure to subscribe to this channel here and check out my Instagram. We had another fun and interesting episode in Arizona, and in task number 1 it was all about cowboys, horses and horseshoes. So the first question we have to ask ourselves is, in which group would the Mall like to be? And it seems common sense in the Mall community that the Mall would prefer to be part of the field group, so the group who was responsible for taking the right horseshoes, which means that Ruben and Lieselot are a bit less suspicious in that case. And there were some suspicious actions going on. The first one is that Lancelot grabbed the horseshoe with the wrong name of Lucky Luke's horse. So he grabbed the one which said Jolly Jumping, but the horse actually is called Jolly Jumper, so one wrong pair. Then there was Toes, who picked the horseshoe with 3, how to translate that? Sky children, definitely not the right translation I think, but it was Himmelskinderen in the original, so he took the horseshoe which said that there were 3 of those special children, but actually it would have been 4. And one more suspicious thing going on in that group was that Comfort, she was on the field and there was one of the horseshoes which wasn't standing upright anymore, so it had fallen over, and it seems like she wants to read what's written on that horseshoe, so she tries to, get it upright again. But by touching it, by moving it, she tells the cowboy to go, which means they lose time and they could also risk losing a candidate. The other group did a very good job, so Lieselot definitely showed her cowgirl skills there, and in general they didn't really have that suspicious behavior in the task. The only thing that went slightly wrong was the communication part with the other group, but then again, things like that always go wrong, so communication via portaphones or walkie-talkies or whatever always, tends to go wrong. And there was suspicious behavior on both sides. Lieselot and Ruben talked way too fast for the other group. And in the other group there were Lancelot, Toes and Layla, who tried to understand, but then again they didn't really seem very eager to understand anything. And Layla especially only complained again about Lieselot talking, which she keeps repeating, so she repeats permanently that she does not understand what Lieselot is saying, which we will get back to in a minute when we talk about task number 2. In the end they could have earned way more money in the task, but the cowboy just did a better job than them. Task number 2 was all about the eggs, but before we get to the eggs I have one question for you guys. So I know that there are several people from the US watching my videos, and there are probably even more people who have been to the US for vacation or other reasons, and I have one question, and that is there a reason, or is there any idea why the color pink was so dominant in that task? Like, is that a thing? Is that something we can ignore, or do we have to dive deeper into the meaning of that color? Because it was so prominent. Like, it wasn't only the overalls, but there was also the Jeep colored pink, and just to me it does not really seem like a good color in nature or in a national park or anything, but maybe the idea is that you're supposed to see the Jeep from far away, so maybe that's why it's pink. Yeah, if you have any idea about it, if you know anything about that, then please share that with us in the comments below, because I'm really wondering if that's something we have to think about a bit further. Now we get to the eggs, and in the beginning of the episode, each candidate got one red egg and they were told to keep very good care of that egg. And the majority of candidates did that, so in the end they only had 2 broken red eggs. One was Connie's egg, but Connie's out of the game, so let's focus on the second case, and that one is Lancelot. And there's a special situation concerning Lancelot's red egg, because it's gone. At least that's what he says. He says it disappeared. And he's a bit mad because of that, simply because he was actually helping the other candidates. So he was taking their suitcases and putting them into the cars. And while doing that, his egg, well, got lost. The thing is, we as viewers got to see a shot of his egg broken on the ground right next to where the car stood. And the way that egg looks, it really seems like somebody had, well, let it fall down with a lot of force. And since that happened so close to the cars, it also is likely that Lancelot just did it himself. Doesn't have to be, but it's a possibility. And for the mole, of course, that would be a really brilliant thing to do, because the mole would know that buying a new red egg would cost a lot of money, and of course would make sure that they either would lose money from the pot or would lose money in that task in general. Then about the task itself, of course there were a lot of broken eggs. In general, that task was perfect for moling, and especially for candidate moling. So it's like an open invitation for anybody to just let some eggs fall down and make yourself suspicious. So I'm not so sure if the mole would like to do that much at all, because it was so obvious in the beginning that there wouldn't be, well, the full money earned, and that there would be a lot of eggs, well, getting broken. So we are back with Lila and Lieselot now, because as I said, Lila kept repeating that she does not understand Lieselot's talking that good. And suddenly both of them are in a situation where understanding what the other person says is the key. And then they also had to put that spoon, was it, I think, in their mouth while talking, which makes understanding even harder. And suddenly it worked. So I'm not so sure if we should trust Layla not always understanding what Lieselot says. And there's one more thing which I just have to mention, because it's such a typical de Mol hint and I just can't, well, ignore it. And that is that Lieselot and Layla both had to wear blindfolds. And who is blind? The mole. So that's like a typical situation, typical mole hint throughout several seasons. So yeah, maybe that's a hint that either Lieselot or Layla is the mole. As I said, several eggs got broken during that task, and that is why I don't want to focus on every single one of them, but on two more very suspicious situations. The first one is about Lancelot, who makes a very weird move with his arm, and by doing that makes sure that Ruben's red egg falls down, which means that Ruben can't earn any money anymore. And the second, very suspicious but also very into-your-face situation was when Thomas helped Layla when they were counting the eggs in the end, and he lets one of her eggs fall down, which means less money, and he does that with the whole group, including Jill, watching them. So for the mole, that would not only be very risky, but it also would be a bit way too obvious, so it also seems like a very nice candidate moling situation. Done with the eggs, and now we get to the most exciting part of that episode, task number 3, or as I like to call it, the Exemption night. And there's so many things about it and so many question marks. So let's start with the first question that came up to mind while watching it, and that one was, are those real exemptions? Because if we have a look at them, then we see that they have like the typical shape and they have that fingerprint on it. But from older exemptions, we know that there would be the word Freistelling written under the fingerprint. So either those aren't real ones, or if that word is only printed on one side of the Freistelling, of the exemption, then that word would face down. And we never got to see the back side. So, or let's say we saw the back side, but we never got to see the other side. Maybe there are really only two real ones in that room and they were supposed to search for those. That's not clear. Because the question is, why would the production team make that effort to prepare a whole room like that? I mean, it takes a lot of time to put all of those exemptions on that bed like that. Somebody on the WIDM forum tried to count them and came to the conclusion that there were around about 1,000 of those. So, I mean, that's a lot of effort. And as production team, of course, you only do that with an idea in the back of your mind. So maybe they had the idea that that task, that situation in that room would develop in a different way. And to add one more thing to the question if those are real or not, if we think about last year's first episode and the first task in that first episode, there was also a fake exemption, which looked so similar to the real one, but then turned out to be a fake one. So it wouldn't be the first time that there's a fake Freistelling in the game. That's just one thing about that task. Let's have a closer look on the people who were then allowed to go into that room, and that were Toes and Lieselot. Again, the two who had already the chance to get a Freistelling in the first task of this season. And what was suspicious in that case is that Toes told Lieselot not to press that button. So he was really telling her that, well, they aren't going to press it and to let the other groups do that. And that, of course, appears a bit like he has some knowledge about the task, and the only person who has knowledge in advance is the mole. And from the WIDM season this year, we know that catching a mole in a situation where he or she shows that, well, he or she has some more knowledge than all the others, is a really good proof for being the mole, for having caught the mole. Actually, that's how the winner won in the end this year, because he caught the mole in such a situation. What I only wonder is if they would really show us that on TV. If not, then it's probably just by accident that Toes said it, and they only showed us that to make him appear more suspicious. Now, the best situation, of course, would have been to take one exemption and to earn 5,000 euros by doing that. And of course, that whole situation was designed as a dilemma for the two candidates there. In the end, both of them leave without an exemption and say that they do not want to lose the trust of the group and that they're still in the situation where they need information. And I do understand that, because it was only episode 3 and you still, need information about the other people. But still, I think that especially if Lieselot had taken it and not Toes, the group would have understood that if they had explained to them that taking one exemption also meant earning 5,000 euro. And they really needed that money since they had actually lost money during the egg task. So by not taking any exemption, it actually makes them appear more suspicious, which is a weird situation. But I think especially in Toes' case, he does not really seem like such a group player so far, so I really wonder if not losing anybody's trust really was the real reason for not taking an exemption. And I want to add some more confusion in that task. You know, this year is the Hint and Theories video, and so far we really did not have that many hidden hints in this season, and it's time for adding some of them. So the first one is about that sign, which we got to see several times. I'm talking about that light sign in front of the motel which said vacancy motel and which had a light issue, so it kept going on and off. At least part of it kept going on and off. And on the wisdommall.com forum somebody looked that motel up and figured out that that sign does not exist in reality. So there's no sign in front of that motel, and that means that the production team placed that sign there. On purpose, of course, because nothing happens in the mall without an idea behind it, without any purpose. And the question is, why would they do that? And the first idea people came up with is that maybe that going on and off is the Morse code, and then that Morse code would mean 6. So the number 6, not so sure what to do with that so far, if there are any ideas behind it, but it's just what people figured out. And to add some more, I want to throw in another idea, and that is the question if the room numbers mean anything, and especially the room number 110, since that was the room with the exemptions in it. And if we have a look at the room number not as 110 but as 110, then this could be a binary code, and that would mean 6 as well. So 110 is 6. So we have the number 6 2 times. Can look at it as 6 or as 66 or 6 plus 6 or 6 times 6, then it's 36. Well, you see, there's a lot of potential in those hidden hints, and that could of course also be a hint to a maths teacher. Since Connie isn't there anymore, the only one left is Thomas, and both of them, not only Connie but Thomas as well, has a calculator in his suitcase. Nobody knows why, but it just seems to be a thing for math teachers. Well, as you see, this last task especially is highly discussed in the community, and I'm really interested to hear your thoughts about it. That were all hints and theories to episode number 3. My red egg hasn't broken yet. Hope that will stay like that. And I'm very looking forward to reading all of your ideas, your, well, hints and theories. I'm sure you've spotted something that I've missed to mention, so share that with us in the comments below. And I'm really looking forward to seeing you back next week. If you do not want to miss any further videos, then please make sure to subscribe to this channel here and check out my Instagram. And yeah, happy Easter if you celebrate. I see you next week. Until then, bye!